Hello, this is David JP Phillips and I am back with you today to give you a tribute video of one of my heroes, of one of the greatest scientific speakers who's ever roamed this planet. Now, his TED Talks has been seen by millions and millions, his books has been sold to millions and millions, known all over the world, and he's Swedish. Or rather was, because that is why this is a tribute video. You see, Hans Rosling died 2017 on the 7th of February. So that's 4 years from today. And I remember that as a super sad day in my life because few people have inspired me more in the public speaking arena as Hans. And I actually had the opportunity of delivering one of my keynotes in conjunction with one of his keynotes in Luleå in Sweden. So I got to speak with him, I got to touch him. It was a remarkable event. And as a show of respect this time, I'm handing down my towel and I'm grabbing the bamboo stick. Because in a way, I guess I remember him as the bamboo man. I'll come back to that later on. Now, there are 3 things that we can all learn from Hans Rosling. Number 1, he had phenomenal passion. Number 2, the way he uses props. And number 3, his skills were superior and they evolved through his career. But let's start with passion. Now let's have a look at this video. And oh yes, he's using this super cool transparent screen where he's standing behind the screen interacting with it. Just have a look at this passion for science.
I start the world. Here we go.
I start the world.
It's going this way. Many Africans are still with many babies born per woman. And then Bangladesh over there overtakes India on its way to the small family. And now almost all go up to this, but even Africa.
Look at this.
To move on. Ooh, that was the earthquake in Haiti. And now everyone ends up there. What a change we...
And that was the earthquake in Haiti. Whoa! Just imagine if the people that speak to you about science, about stats, about maths, had this engagement. You fall in love with them, don't you? So his first key was passion. And the thing is this, that if you have passion, people become passionate. If you're proud, people become proud. So when you're going to present, whatever you're going to present, definitely data, be passionate about it. Feel your why in it. Now, the second reason why Hans became a superstar, scientific superstar, was his use of props. For instance, his bamboo stick. I remember when people, they all keynote speakers are like running around with laser pointers, going like, turning their audience blind or at least confused. I remember Hans walked in and said, I don't want a laser pointer, I want a bamboo stick. And like pointing at things in his presentation. And it was so different and so super cool that nobody can forget that. Here's an image from when that happened. In another presentation, he showed paper dolls and he created things with them. In the third presentation, he had the toilet rolls. And I remember a friend of mine worked with Hans once and he said that Hans just said what he wanted. So he asked for these boxes to be brought into the stage so he could build things with them. Now, instead of boxes, many times he used Lego as props to create a visualization of what he was saying. And that was the key in what he was so good at. He made people see, he made people love the subject. Now have a look at this. Okay, so this is a platform. This is how good the average speaker is at using props, i.e. they more or less suck. This is how good you should be. Now have a look at how good Hans was. Boom! I couldn't find more Lego bits than that, but it's to the moon! He was this good. He's superior to everybody else I've ever seen on stage. I want you to be inspired by it. And when you're on there, on stage, ask yourself, what kind of visual props can I use to enhance my message? You will find it more fun when you do it. Your audience will find it more fun. You'll both learn way more than when you haven't got props. And it's such an easy thing. The third reason that made him into this scientific superstar was his skills. I want to show you 2 video clips of these. Have a look at this one where he uses pointing, gestures, increase of pace in voice, and then a horizontal movement on stage. Look how beautifully synchronized they all are.
For the future here. I will show you the projection, the best projection into the future from the finest demographers we have at the Population Division of the United Nations. And it looks like this. It's going to continue first up to 8, and then it goes up to 9, and then it goes here. But see, it's slowing down. By the end of the century, it's becoming more flat there. And if I do a close-up on this, you can see that we are expecting a slowing down and the end of fast population growth. But of course, this is a projection that has a certain...
3 main reasons that we have visited are passion, props and skill. And this last video clip, I want to show you kind of a combination of these where he uses superb skills. Oh my God, it gives me goosebumps when I see it. And a combination with his passion. And a fourth thing, which he's really good at, is storytelling. Just have a look at this. I'll comment it as we go by. It's beautiful.
What I'm going to do is ask you 2 questions that I often ask my Swedish students.
This one's nice. He moves down from stage, walks closer to the audience, means that you own the stage and the scene in a very, very different way. The focus changes entirely when he does this.
The first one is this. How many of you have not traveled by an airplane this year?
And that one's nice as well, interacting with the audience with a question and a raise of hands, using a kind of a negation to make it a little bit more interesting.
Few can do without flying. So the next question is, how many of you have stayed away from...
Stayed away. Beautiful.
...bed sheets, clothes and laundry during the last year?
Listen to his voice where he kind of smirked and laughed a little bit because he knew what the answer was going to be, so that the audience didn't feel insulted because nobody will be able to answer this. Very nicely executed as well.
I thought so. No one. Everyone who can afford...
Oh, did you hear that? Everyone using playful emphasis, which is one of the 110 skills. And the passion and the gestures and the facial expressions, everything adds up to such a great genuinity. Oh, I loved this man.
Machine, even the hardcore in the environmental movement. And I still remember the day when my...
Oh, did you hear that? Pace change, volume change down.
Family got the washing machine. It was the 1st of November, 1952. Grandma was invited to be the first to load the machine. She had handworked
Imagine that.
life for a family of 9. And when she loaded the machine, she sat down on a footstool and she watched the entire program.
Have a look at that. It's a funny story, but he goes down vertically. He uses his head as an amplifying movement, and he goes down in volume and in pace. The execution is flawless.
During 1 hour, she was absolutely mesmerized. For my mother, it also meant a lot of more free time to do other things. She could read books for me. I think that's what made me professor. No wonder we said, thank you, steel mill. Thank you, washing powder factory. Thank you, electrical power station.
This is 56 minutes into the presentation, and he still uses so many great skills. A lot of speakers get tired toward the end of a presentation, but you can hear him using volume changes and gesture changes.
I've never called myself an optimist, but I do say I'm a possibilist. And
I'm just mesmerized by...
The world is much better than many of you think. Thank you very much.
Oh, what a beautiful man, what a beautiful person with a beautiful purpose. I'd like to advise you to have a look at all of his TED Talks and buy his book, Factfulness. It's a brilliant read. The human race would be a better race if we all read that book. As a last tribute and a wave of the flag, I was really grateful that I could make this video because this meant so much to me. And I know that he can inspire you in your public speaking as well. That's all for me. Thank you for existing, Hans Rosling.